You are watching Tech Confessions, created by Amy Lewis and brought to you by VMware.
Thanks for coming in, Dom.
Ninja, always happy to be here with you, lady.
So we're here today to talk about your software-defined moment.
I thought this was my therapy session.
Well,
on the
it
couch.
is.
It
Yeah,
Oh,
anything
okay.
you want to share. It's safe space, just
yeah,
us.
absolutely. Did you bring biscotti to share?
Yes, I
Okay,
did. It's a little stale.
Excellent.
But
all right. We'll dunk it in coffee. I think it's been... I'm going to recharacterize your question, as I have to do sometimes.
sure. To ask a better
I think
question.
I've had my cloud reality moment this week.
Oh, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I'm trademarking it right now.
And it's interesting because there's a number of engagements with customers in the last couple of weeks leading up to this, as well as all of the announcements that we've made this week. And I think, customers have now come to the realization of two things. Obviously, the public cloud, as we've seen, has gone through tremendous growth over the last 3 to 4 years here. And what the realization they have is that hybrid is the strategy. Not everything is going to the public cloud. Most things actually won't for a variety of reasons. Intellectual property protection, regulatory compliance, data sovereignty, there's a million other reasons. But I think, what everybody's really come to the realization is that the private cloud has to be as fast and as easy and as simple as the public cloud.
Yeah.
Right? And infrastructure teams are finally getting that now. And they're realizing, maybe some of the mistakes that they've made in the past as it relates to their private infrastructure, some of the mistakes they've made in the past of moving certain applications and certain workloads into the cloud, and what they need to achieve in order to be able to do that. And some of it's technological, and some of it's people and personnel and personality and interpersonal relationship related in terms of how we structure organizations, what people are responsible for, how we break down the silos. It's both. You can't change your technology because you can't change your people, and you can't change your people because you can't change your technology. Gets you stuck in this rut, right? And this is why sort of shadow IT took place, and people really, what started going around, application developers, application owners started going around IT into the cloud because, they don't want to wait. And infrastructure needs to be a consumable, effectively, right? All components of infrastructure working together need to become a consumable for the applications developers, and the applications owners themselves. So I think that's my my software-defined month.
I love it. It's
Maybe
the cloud reality moment.
It's the cloud reality moment that I've had this week here. And I think, look at what we've brought to bear this week, right? VMC on AWS now live in the Western Zone, coming in the Eastern Zone before the end of the year, coming in Europe early next year. What we're doing with PKS, Pivotal Container Services, with Kubernetes on Bosch, where you can do real-time production rolling upgrades, with NSX embedded so you can isolate containers in the same operating system, right? What we're doing with cross-cloud, with NSX as a service, with Verni as a service, with costing as a service, with Wavefront as a service. All the technology is now here to make this a reality, right? In an enterprise-class production deployable fashion. And I think this was a big coming out party for VMware, right? And it's, we've talked about it for the last couple VMworlds, more so last year than the year prior. Now it's here, and now it's real. And I think it's what's exciting for us as a company, but it's what's exciting for our customers as well, because I think they've been waiting for somebody to really bring the enabling technologies to them to achieve what they need to achieve.
So another question we get asked a lot is about security. Because as computing moves out to the edge, as more and more data exists, as I don't think there's a person amongst us who hasn't had a credit card compromised or have something in their own personal life. What are we seeing and hearing? Where do you think we're going there?
So I think a couple different things. Number one, I think that we've finally come to the realization that this problem's not going away. It's getting worse. It's going to get worse. As we talk about the edge, we talk about IoT. This is going to be another influx of exponential growth in the number of entry points into your infrastructure as well, particularly on the consumer side, where a lot of the devices and operating systems those devices used aren't hardened. And people may show up at work and plug some consumer drop cam, or I shouldn't specifically call them out by name, but some consumer grade appliance or device and plug them into your corporate network, and now that becomes an entry point as well. But I think, more importantly, what we've seen over the past 3 years is that there are fundamental problems in the way we've architected infrastructure that has made this problem substantially worse than it should be, right? Network is design is one of them. L2 networking is one of them. The fact that we have no east-west security for horizontal data movement inside our data centers is a huge issue, right? The fact that you could get malware into somebody's environment is not surprising. The fact that they can do nothing about it once it is in is a big problem, right? So I think a lot of customers suffered from WannaCry and from Petya, non-Petya, and I think in hindsight, those customers know they could have done better job at preventing that happening now, or preventing it from happening as impactful as it did. And I think if you look at what we did this week here, is we announced something new called App Defense. You may have heard it in the past referred to as Goldilocks. The Goldilocks project was the code name for it. Tom Korn, our chief security officer for NSBU, has really been leading this effort for the past 2 years. And has really been the thought leader behind this technology. And it's very analogous to microsegmentation in how that's used as a network security mechanism, except we can now go up into the guest, build an attestation of an operating system and the applications residing above it, and of what is a well-known state for that running operating system in that application, and then ensure that if new processes get kicked off by that application or by that operating system, if patches are applied or service packs, that we can respond to those types of events immediately, and particularly the way malware behaves would incite that type of behavior by a host or by its applications itself. So we're super excited about that. We've gotten great responsiveness from our customers. If you look at what we're doing with vSAN, with encryption of data at rest, in vSAN 6.6, which was released about a quarter ago today. And then the ecosystem around us. It's the Palo Alto networks, it's the Checkpoint, it's the Fortinet, it's the McAfee, it's the Trend, it's the Symantec, and the integration that they have with our products and our ability to make customers' lives simpler in terms of how do they integrate a holistic security strategy in their environment as well. This is not a problem that's going away anytime soon, and there's huge implications for customers who continue to allow that risk to linger. Because sooner or later it's going to come back and get you, and it can be severely damaging. We saw a couple customers almost go out of business. Thankfully they didn't. We were happy to lend them a helping hand, and we will always be here to lend our customers a helping hand, particularly when they're in a bad situation. And there's plenty of challenges that lie ahead as it exists in the security area.
So would you ever have predicted how far we'd come in this technological world when you were an SE way back when? If you go to the way back when machine, are you surprised where we've landed? Or did this feel like a natural evolution? Or do you feel like we're sort of always solving some of the same problems in new ways?
I think what I have predicted where we are, it's interesting because a lot of things sort of come full circle in this industry. And I think, when something new is invented, it tends to have a substantial hype cycle before it actually reaches the market en masse, right? SDN was a perfect example of that. It was all anybody talked about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was really 3 full years before it even started to hit the market. I think containers is a perfect example of that right now as well. And I think some of the themes, some of the trends in IT are cyclical: centralization, decentralization. We're talking about cloud computing. Now we're talking about, edge computing is going to kill cloud computing, right?
We have the edgy cloud.
SaaS used to be application service providers, but that term was already used once, so we can't recycle it, so we call it something new. So, am I surprised that we are where we are? Not at all. I'm surprised that some of the things get hyped a little bit too much too early on, and then some of the things that maybe should be adopted earlier get slow rolled in the industry as well. So, and I think there's a lot yet to come. And I mean, scratch, the technological impact of this, I think working and living in this industry day in and day out get to see. So it's maybe not as dramatic. I think it's the business transformation that is the more shocking and dramatic thing. Let's just take, for example, the acquisition of Whole Foods by Amazon. How does that impact the brick and mortar industry even further, right? And in terms of retail grocery and the distribution that Amazon has. And I think what we're seeing right now in talking to American customers over this week is more and more companies, if you're in the financial services industry or if you're in the insurance industry, you're a technology company.
I've heard that
right?
more and more. Everybody's a technology
you're
company.
A technology company. I mean, walk into an insurance company, show off their computers and see what can get done there, right?
Yeah.
Nothing, zero. You just send everybody home for the day. So I think more and more CEOs and CXOs and boards of directors are taking that approach because, if you sort of rest on your laurels, some other technology company might come away and take your market from you. So it is fascinating to see the non-tech crowd come to the realization that the world has changed as well. So I think that's the most interesting and intriguing thing to me.
I like it. Well, thank you so much, Dom, for joining.
Pleasure to be here. Hey, Amy, great to have you at VMware. We're excited.
Happy to be here.
All right.
So when you're ready to make your tech confession, join us at techconfessionstheshow.com.